Good morning and welcome to Sunday Live Dharma. Today, longtime temple friend Rebecca Camney will be sharing her thoughts on Am I a Servant of My Emotions? Please feel free to share your greetings in our live chat now or at the end of today's Dharma Talk. Please no more than 3 or 4 entries per person so that we can maintain focused and mindful energy during our live streaming. Now please stand up to begin our Qi Gong practice guided by Reverends Qi Gong.
Friends, let's start our practice with some Qi Gong and warming up exercise. Spread your feet shoulder width apart and using your knees, gently bounce up and down. Deeply breathing in, breathing out. Try to release all the tensions in your body. Leaning to one side, the other side. Swinging your arms left and right. Okay. Now, your feet together. And spread your feet slowly, shoulder width apart. Now we're going to raise our arms. Your knees are slightly bent. And breathing in, arms up. Breathing out, arms down. Bend your knees. Breathing in, up. Your arms are like feathers. Light. Breathing out, heavy shoulders, heavy elbows, and heavy hands. One more time, breathing in, up. Breathing out, press down. Now, turning to one side. Pull your hand and scooping the energy. Fold your arm and then push forward. While pulling the other arm to the other side, scoop the energy, fold, and then push forward. Repeat a couple of times, trying to focus on the flow of the energy this movement creates. Do not turn your upper body too much to the front. Scoop the energy and then push forward. Okay, now the third movement. Stand on one leg with the other leg, no weight on the other leg. And that upper hand pushes to the side while the other hand brush over your knee. And straighten your leg behind. The other side, your lower hand becomes the upper hand. And then push to the side while the other hand brush over your knee. One more time. Your lower hand becomes the upper hand. Push to the side while the other hand brush over your knee. The other side, upper hand, pushing over to the other side. One more time. Lower hand becomes the upper hand. Great. Push to the side. Great job, everybody. Now, please join us for the practice of 4 vows, 4-vow practice.
With gratitude, I bow to the grace of heaven and earth, honoring the infinite source of marvelous existence. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of parents, ancestors, and everyone who has given me life and nurtured me. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of fellow beings, embracing the truth of interconnectedness. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of laws, which guide us to develop justice and freedom through Dharma and universal principles. Meditation is simple and easy. Anyone can practice it. Please take time to find your most comfortable position on the floor or in a chair. Now wiggle to release any tension in your body. Rock front to back or side to side, like the pendulum of a grandfather clock, until you find the point of perfect balance. Breathe in. Grab all your tension. Breathe out. Release any mental or physical uneasiness. Relax your whole body. It is okay to slouch a little bit if that feels more natural. Just remember to let your mind's eye focus on belly breathing. Breathe and listen to your body. If your body agrees, gradually sit up tall. Gently straighten your spine without losing focus on the energy in your lower abdomen. You may start to feel your lower back growing stronger and your chest and heart opening. Now, open your eyes softly and look straight ahead with a level gaze. Without moving your head or eyes, let your eyelids relax and drift downward to their most comfortable place. While keeping your ears softly aligned with your shoulders, tuck your chin in slightly and let your shoulders melt away from your ears. Enjoy the sensations of your arms and hands relaxing. Now, bring your awareness to your tongue. Place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. While your tongue is relaxed on your palate, pure and clear saliva may gather in the mouth. This is a delightful sign of cool energy ascending. Smile at your calm and clear spirit. Invite your awareness to return to your lower abdomen, your Qi energy field. This is called the Danjun and is located about 2 inches below your navel. Your Danjun is the power center for your breathing. Scan your entire body to see if there is any tension, especially in your face and head, neck and shoulders. If your face or body begins to itch, simply note the itching and let it pass. If your legs ache unbearably, you may change position very slowly and quietly so that you maintain a stillness and honor the silent practice of those around you. When thoughts arise in your mind, do not be disturbed by them. Do not react to your thoughts or pursue them. Recognize they are just thoughts. They will disappear by themselves. Continue to bring your awareness back to your Danjun abiding breath. When your mind is calm, concentrated, perfectly focused, and at peace, you will rest in the realm of samadhi, deep meditation. You will no longer feel any distinction between yourself and others, finding yourself free from the limits of time and place. We are grateful to sit quietly together, finding the still point within. May we be here now, deeply aware of our ever calm, ever alert spirit. 영주 천지연기하심동 만사여외하심동 천지여와 동일제하여 천지동심동 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 천지연기하심동 만사여외하심동 천동일제하여 천지동심동 천지연기하심동 만사여외하심동 천지여와 동일제하여 천지동심동.
Prayer for world peace.
Grace of heaven and earth, grace of parents, grace of fellow beings, grace of laws. O Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, may we take refuge in Dharma and be filled with compassion and wisdom. May we transform delusion into wisdom, greed into generosity, resentment into gratitude, discord into harmony, and hatred into compassion. May all nations grow and benefit mutually. May the strong help the weak, and may the weak learn and evolve according to Dharma. May all those who died from world conflicts and disasters be delivered through all obstacles and be at rest. May there be peace throughout the world, and may all beings enjoy tranquility and happiness, living in their original true nature. This we pray with our whole hearts.
내 손
wish and pray, sincerely and truly,
where
where my hands touch the world,
where
where my feet walk on the earth, where my voice echoes through the hills, and in all realms where my heart and mind reach, that we all together, share a true affinity for attaining great enlightenment and for helping all living beings.
감사합니다.
Thank you, Reverend Sean, for the wonderful video that captures Venerable Chuksanim's visit so well. Now, our longtime temple friend, Rebecca Kameny, Wan He, will share her Dharma talk, Am I a Servant of My Own Emotions?
Good morning. Have you ever been so afraid that you couldn't move? So anxious you couldn't make a decision? So carried away by anger that you hurt someone, or intent on recreating that perfect moment that you couldn't enjoy it? Sometimes our emotions get in our own way, and I'd like to take a closer look at this by inquiring into a passage from the Won Buddhist scripture. There are 3 parts to this passage. The first part describes how we ordinary human beings relate to our feelings. The second part talks about how bodhisattvas, those who have vowed to save humanity from suffering, relate to emotions. And the third part refers to how Buddhas use their emotions. Let's read the full passage. The founding master said, "Sentient beings use their minds while being attached to joy and anger, sorrow and happiness, thus bringing much harm to themselves and others. Bodhisattvas use their minds while transcending joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. Thus, they do not bring harm to themselves or others. The Buddhas use joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness as if they were their servants, thus bringing much benefit to themselves and others." If we think about these 3 parts as steps, 3 gigantic steps, from attachment to transcending to using emotions as servants, it's really difficult to imagine ourselves much farther than that first step. But if we think about them as 3 different approaches or ways of relating to our emotions, then we could, at any one time, behave like a bodhisattva or even a Buddha. This view opens up possibilities. Let's start with part 1. Sentient beings use their minds while being attached to joy and anger, sorrow or happiness, thus bringing much harm to themselves and others. I think it's fairly easy to see how certain emotions can cause harm. I express frustration at a work colleague who has not completed a task well, and that person may also feel frustration or express anger at somebody else, pass it on to somebody else, or spend a lot of mental energy envisioning my demise. But what about joy and happiness? What's wrong with expressing those emotions? Our initial response to the question is probably nothing. Express all the joy you want. We need more of that in this world for sure. I agree. There's a key word here, though, that gives us pause, and that is attachment. When people use their minds while being attached to happiness, that is what can lead to troubles. For example, imagine someone who feels extreme bliss when dancing, but is so passionate about it that he ignores his family and friends and stops his volunteer work. Another example of attachment is how hard we work sometimes to keep an emotion going, even a negative one. Thoughts and emotions don't last very long on their own, maybe a minute or so, but we give them fuel by telling stories about them and chasing them. Do you ever have that feeling of, I know I'm angry about something, but I can't remember what it is? Oh yeah, that's it. So we have to actually work hard to conjure it back up. So why do we spend that kind of energy trying to get back a negative emotion? So it's not the emotion itself that's the problem, it's our relationship to it. In an article by Anyen Rinpoche called The 4 Noble Truths of Emotional Suffering, the author explains the difference between the American and the Tibetan approach to emotions. Here's what he says. When I came to America, I noticed the strong relationship Americans have with their emotions. People here focus on their emotions much more than we Tibetans do, and they're encouraged to do that. The American culture places value on focusing on one's own feelings more than the mood and energy of the other people. What is the consequence of this way of relating to our emotions? First, it can cause us to be extremely sensitive. We react emotionally to almost everything and everyone around us. Emotions have become the core of American identity. Almost literally, you are what you feel. Even the English language expresses this idea. We identify directly with the emotion. We say, I am angry. I am happy. Rather than I have anger, as they do in other languages. In the Tibetan language, we actually say, anger is present. and do not connect the emotion with I at all. Let's look a little bit closer at that difference. So in English, we literally equate ourselves with the emotion by using the word am. Other languages take a step back, I have. So you're a little bit distant from it. Looking at the Tibetan way, anger is present, joy is present, resentment is present. So what's happening here? Not only is there more distance placed between the speaker and the emotion, there is no I. This is passive voice, no subject, no self. With no self, there is room for other things, a space. How liberating. Let's move on to part 2, bodhisattvas. They use their minds while transcending joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness. Thus, they do not bring harm to themselves or others. Notice the verb transcend, which means to rise above, go beyond the limits of. Go beyond the limits of. So emotions have limits. Intriguing. Can that possibly mean we need to set boundaries for them? Direct them to do not go past this line? Is this where the dialogue begins? A true conversation does begin with awareness. Once we are aware, there can be communication back and forth. We can listen to them, hear what they have to say, these feelings, and why they popped up at that particular moment, thinking about how they affect us and influence our behavior, how they became habits, and how we can break those habits if they're detrimental. It might be easier to go beyond the limits of emotion when encountering other people's emotions, because there's already a distance there. It's not you, after all. Recently, for example, my husband came crashing into my home office, yelling that the spatula had gone missing, and did I know where it was? My first reaction, or feeling really, was annoyance. Right back at you, fella. But I did not act on that. I was actually too busy turning off my camera and muting the mic. I actually just looked at him, really looked. And for some weird reason, I saw the fear behind his anger. This was someone who was just really scared. Scared, perhaps, that he was losing it, like his dad who had Alzheimer's? I don't know, but it was showing right there on his face. So, awareness opens a door to dialogue, which opens a gap between myself and my emotion, allowing me to transcend it, to act and speak in a way that is not harmful. One more thing before we move to part 3. Why does the passage say of bodhisattvas, they do not bring harm to themselves or others? Why only that? I thought the point was to bring people out of their sufferings to do good. I struggled with this a bit on my own, asked a couple of Sangha buddies, but ended up posing this question to Reverend Gong, and here's how she responded. There are 2 ways to benefit others. 1, do no harm. And 2, proactively do good. So bodhisattvas transcend their emotions by not indulging in them, not being swayed by them, and in so doing, this is where the benefit lies. It doesn't mean they don't feel anything or express anything. As Gong explained, they are not a dead log. But by not being tossed around by emotional waves, they are doing good. I also take this to mean that bodhisattvas are putting into practice the 3rd noble truth. There is cessation of suffering. Cessation of suffering happens when we let go of attachment. In this case, attachment to our emotions. By doing that, we also let go of our identification with them. And this is what brings us out of our suffering. And doesn't the absence of suffering mean happiness? Like when you wake up having been sick with the flu for 2 weeks, with that slow realization that you're now okay, you're hungry, you're feeling like yourself again. Isn't that bliss? Let's move on to part 3. The Buddhas use joy, anger, sorrow, and happiness as if they were their servants, thus bringing much benefit to themselves and others. Now the dialogue really deepens. We are not defined by our anger. We do not have it. We just state anger is present. No self, no I. As Reverend Qi described in her view of this passage, the anger bows to me and asks, "How may I serve you?" Buddhas put their emotions to work in order to do good. Using emotions is a step beyond transcending. It's making use of those feelings to bring grace out into the world. And this is not just at the individual level, but it extends to the community or global level. All of us have Buddha nature and can be Buddha-like at certain times in our lives. Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Eleanor Roosevelt, Sojourner Truth, all have used their anger, sorrow, and other strong emotions to galvanize other people. When we act as Buddhas in this way, we become the model for others to follow. So what I think this entire passage is showing us is that there does need to be a dialogue between ourselves and our feelings. The first part describes a situation which we are not even having this conversation. We're too attached to how we are feeling. The second part, when we transcend our emotions, we invite the dialogue to begin and train ourselves through diligent practice to transcend those emotions in order to reduce harm. In the third part, the Buddha step, we have full conversation with the emotions as they arise, and we are powerful enough to tell them how to best serve us in order to bring benefit to the world. There are many mental processes that go on inside us each minute of the day, and emotions are just one kind of mental process. There is so much else going on at any moment. If we can accept that emotions are not the whole picture, and that they are actually not even the main point, and we do not permit them to take center stage, how much more room is there for our original true nature to shine? There is a certain freedom in being a bit removed from our emotions, watching them, being able to converse with them, and even using them to our advantage. There is more to us than just how we feel. As Walt Whitman says, "I am large, I contain multitudes."
Thank you, Rebecca, for your insightful talk and your reminder of how we focus and are attached to our emotions. And thank you for all your practice and deep listening. Friends at home, you're welcome to share your thoughts about today's practice in the live chat or have a moment of silent reflection. Friends in the Dharma hall here, please turn to the person next to you and share your experience. Thank you for joining us. Please join us in our Raleigh meditation this evening at 5 p.m. We look forward to practicing with you next week. Now, let us bow to each other and wave to our friends in the virtual world.
you.